At 6 a.m., as the overnight shift handed off to the morning crew, ICE agents burst into a Southern California Costco warehouse. They locked down every single exit in a swift, coordinated move. Workers stood frozen in shock, assembly lines suddenly stopped, and the enormous storage space plunged into an eerie, heavy quiet, filled with unspoken fear. Over in Riverside County, unmarked vans circled the perimeter to trap everyone inside, and agents rounded up more than 900 individuals in under 4 hours, where around 70% already had outstanding warrants tied to fake document schemes, based on leaked Department of Homeland Security files. The scene unfolded like a tightly scripted operation, with federal teams advancing methodically through the aisles, but no one knew yet the full scale of what they had uncovered. This early morning strike exposed cracks in everyday American commerce and hints at deeper threats to national borders that could reshape enforcement efforts soon. At the scene of the raid, ICE agents swiftly turned the bustling Costco warehouse in Southern California into a tightly controlled interrogation zone, splitting workers into distinct groups, new hires, seasoned employees, and supervisors, to uncover the architects of a sprawling document fraud network. The air grew thick with tension as agents methodically questioned each person, their voices steady but piercing, asking, who supplied the fake papers? Who collected the payments? Who ran the operation? This approach, sharp and deliberate, mirrored military interrogation tactics used in high-stakes operations, designed to break through lies and expose hidden truths. The goal was clear: not just to detain workers, but to dismantle a sophisticated criminal web embedded in everyday commerce. By leveraging precision and psychological pressure, ICE aimed to map out a shadow economy threatening national security. The warehouse, moments before, alive with the hum of forklifts and chatter, fell silent as workers faced federal officers in tactical vests. Agents moved calmly, directing employees to separate areas to prevent whispered agreements or coordinated stories. This division echoed counterinsurgency strategies, where isolating suspects disrupts their ability to align narratives. For example, in the Riverside Costco, a new hire hesitated when asked about his work permit source. His vague answer clashed with a supervisor's claim of ignorance, sparking agents' interest in their conflicting accounts. Unlike chaotic arrests, the scene remained orderly, with no raised voices or drawn weapons, yet the weight of scrutiny made every pause feel like a confession. This controlled intensity, rooted in law enforcement psychology, pushed workers to reveal details without physical coercion. The interrogations bore fruit almost immediately. Under steady questioning, a mid-level supervisor, cornered by the agent's relentless focus, admitted that fake work permits circulated every Thursday during shift changes, hidden in plain envelopes passed discreetly among staff. This revelation was a breakthrough, pointing to a routine fraud system operating within the warehouse's daily rhythm. ICE's tactics, blending repetition with cross-referenced questions, resembled military debriefings used to unravel terrorist networks, where inconsistencies in stories lead to larger truths. Here, the method exposed a supply chain of forged documents, with workers' statements painting a picture of a disciplined operation that thrived under the guise of retail normalcy. Leaked Department of Homeland Security reports later revealed the raid's precision was no accident. Nearly 70% of the 900-plus detained workers had prior warrants linked to identity theft or document fraud, confirming the warehouse as a hub for organized crime. For instance, records tied several employees to a 2024 Orange County investigation, where stolen Social Security numbers fueled a black market for fake IDs. These statistics underscored that ICE wasn't targeting random laborers, but peeling back layers of a criminal infrastructure. The raid's success hinged on its ability to exploit these connections, using immediate interrogations to gather leads that could trace beyond the warehouse walls to broader networks. The agents' approach drew heavily from military intelligence techniques, prioritizing patience over aggression. They cycled through questions, comparing answers across groups to spot lies. When a long-term employee mentioned a friend who arranged his papers, agents pressed for details, only to find the same friend named by others but with conflicting descriptions, signaling a cover story. This methodical cross-checking, akin to battlefield intelligence gathering, turned minor discrepancies into significant leads. Unlike typical workplace inspections, which focus on compliance, this operation treated the warehouse as a node in a national security threat, where fraudulent documents enabled illegal labor and potential infiltration. What set this raid apart was its quiet professionalism, a hallmark of ICE's evolving strategy. Witnesses noted no shouting or physical force, only the steady rhythm of questions and the agent's unyielding presence. This restraint, grounded in enforcement psychology, lowered workers' defenses, encouraging them to speak. For example, a young worker admitted to paying $200 monthly to keep his fake ID updated, a detail that matched others' accounts of regular payments. Such admissions, extracted without violence, revealed a system where fraud was as routine as clocking in for a shift. The agent's calm demeanor belied the high stakes, as each answer added to a growing map of criminal connections. The interrogations uncovered a chilling reality. Document fraud was not a side hustle, but a structured enterprise woven into the warehouse's operations. Workers described a process where supervisors acted as middlemen, distributing fake permits while enforcing silence. These testimonies suggested a hierarchy, with clear roles for recruiters, forgers, and enforcers, much like a cartel's chain of command. Physical evidence supported these claims. Agents found scraps of paper in a worker's locker, listing names and payment schedules, each entry a clue to the network's inner workings. Combined with verbal accounts, these fragments confirmed the warehouse as a critical piece of a larger puzzle. The raid's military-style execution reflected a broader shift in how federal authorities view document fraud. No longer just a labor issue, it's treated as a breach of national security, enabling illegal networks to exploit economic systems and evade border controls. The precision of separating workers and probing their stories showed that ICE adopted tactics from counterterrorism, where every detail matters. This approach turned a routine warehouse into a battleground against organized crime, with agents acting as investigators and strategists. The operation's success lay not in the number of arrests, but in how it exposed a hidden system that profited from deception. As the morning unfolded, the warehouse remained a scene of quiet tension, with agents sifting through statements and evidence to build a case far larger than one location. The confessions and clues gathered in those hours were not the whole story, but a critical first step. They pointed to months of unseen work, surveillance, undercover operations, and data analysis that made this raid possible. To understand the full scope of this operation, we must now look to the meticulous planning that set the stage for such a precise and revealing strike. The ICE raid on the Southern California Costco warehouse uncovered more than illegal workers. It exposed a sophisticated document mill churning out thousands of fake green cards, social security numbers, and driver's licenses, using professional-grade equipment and even authentic materials sourced from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Hidden within the warehouse's daily grind, this operation produced counterfeit documents with alarming efficiency, blending seamlessly into the rhythm of bulk retail. The discovery revealed a critical vulnerability in national security, where forged identities undermine border control and enable broader criminal networks. By seizing advanced machinery and tracing its output, agents peeled back the layers of a system that thrived in plain sight, threatening the integrity of America's economic and legal frameworks. This wasn't a small-time scam, but a well-oiled machine fueling a shadow economy. Inside the warehouse, investigators found various industrial tools designed for precision forgery. High-end printers, capable of replicating government holograms, stood alongside laminating machines that matched those used in state licensing offices. Stacks of blank cardstock, watermarked with official-looking designs, were ready to be transformed into convincing IDs. For example, one seized batch included driver's licenses so detailed they could pass basic employer checks, complete with embedded microchips mimicking DMV standards. The sophistication shocked even seasoned agents, who noted the equipment's ability to produce documents that could fool digital scanners at banks or government offices. This wasn't the crude cut-and-paste forgery of decades past. It was a professional setup rivaling legitimate operations. The scale of production was staggering. Internal ICE reports, later leaked, estimated the mill churned over 3,000 documents monthly, enough to supply a small army of workers across Southern California. These forgeries ranged from basic Social Security cards for quick job verifications to intricate green cards that could withstand closer scrutiny. During the raid, agents confiscated equipment valued at over $600,000, including specialized inks and holographic overlays mirrored official designs. According to DHS data, roughly 40% of the 900-plus workers detained that morning carried papers traced back to this very mill, a statistic that highlighted its central role in the region's illicit labor market. Each document was a key to unlocking jobs, bank accounts, and a false sense of legitimacy. This discovery aligns with a broader pattern of document fraud across the United States. Earlier in 2025, a Brazilian national was arrested in Los Angeles for distributing fake Social Security numbers and green cards, with evidence linking his operation to local warehouses. Similarly, a February 2025 indictment in Phoenix uncovered a ring producing thousands of counterfeit driver's licenses, many tied to agricultural labor pools. These cases, combined with the Costco raid, suggest a networked system where mills operate as regional hubs, supplying forged IDs to workers and criminals alike. The use of authentic DMV materials, likely obtained through insider connections or black market channels, points to a level of organization that transcends local crime and touches on systemic corruption. The national security implications are profound. A single forged ID does more than secure a job. It opens doors to financial systems, travel, and restricted areas like ports or federal buildings. In military terms, this represents a breach in the nation's defensive perimeter, where identity fraud creates gaps for exploitation by criminal or foreign entities. For instance, a fake green card could allow someone to access sensitive infrastructure, posing risks beyond economic loss. The Costco mill's output, capable of flooding the market with thousands of high-quality fakes, weakens the government's ability to verify who is operating within its borders. This vulnerability mirrors the challenges of securing a battlefield where the enemy blends into the civilian population, undetected until it's too late. The operation's sophistication suggests deep-rooted connections to organized crime. Past investigations, like a 2016 Los Angeles case, showed document mills using equipment sourced from legitimate suppliers but repurposed for fraud. The Costco setup took this further, incorporating materials indistinguishable from those issued by state agencies. Agents found blank cards with pre-printed security features, hinting at possible leaks within the DMV or its supply chain. Such access implies corruption or theft on a significant scale, allowing criminals to produce IDs that could pass all but the most rigorous checks. This level of integration into legal systems elevates document fraud from a labor issue to a strategic threat, akin to an economic sabotage campaign. Workers caught in the raid provided critical clues about the mill's operations. Many admitted receiving documents directly from supervisors during shift changes, often in unmarked envelopes slipped into lockers. These transactions were quick, designed to avoid suspicion, and relied on the warehouse's busy environment for cover. The documents weren't cheap. Basic Social Security cards cost around $200, while premium green cards fetched up to $1,500. This pricing structure fueled a lucrative market, with profits feeding back into the criminal network. The workers, often unaware of the full scope, were both victims and enablers, trapped by their need for employment and fear of exposure. The raid's haul of equipment and documents painted a clear picture. This was no isolated operation but a cog in a larger machine. The mill's output is connected to retail, agriculture, and construction labor pools, industries that are heavily reliant on low-cost workers. By supplying fake IDs, the network ensured a steady flow of labor that could operate under the radar, bypassing tax and immigration laws. This system exploited workers and eroded public trust in institutions, as fraudulent IDs enabled false benefit claims and tax evasion. ICE estimates such schemes cost the U.S. economy $1 billion annually, underscoring the scale of the problem and its ripple effects on taxpayers. The Costco operation's reach extended beyond California, with evidence suggesting ties to similar setups in Arizona and Nevada. For example, A 2024 Las Vegas case uncovered a mill producing high-quality driver's licenses for multiple states, using equipment like that found at Costco. These connections point to a coordinated network like a military supply chain, where each hub supports a broader strategy. Using professional-grade tools and authentic materials indicates a level of investment and planning that rivals legitimate businesses, making detection harder and enforcement more urgent. This raid exposed just one node, but its sophistication suggests many more remain hidden. As agents cataloged the seized machinery and documents, they realized the mill was only part of the story. The real engine driving this network was financial, cash and wire transfers flowing across state lines to sustain the operation. To unravel the full extent of this criminal enterprise, investigators would need to follow the money, tracing it from the warehouse to its shadowy origins. The next phase of the investigation, focused on these financial trails, would reveal how deeply this network infiltrated America's economic and security systems, pulling back the curtain on a hidden war against organized crime. The ICE raid on the Southern California Costco warehouse revealed a network that stretched far beyond its walls, connecting to major distribution centers like Amazon and Target, and supermarkets across California and Arizona, with a central hub just 15 miles away, orchestrating the flow of fake documents and workers. This sprawling system operated like a covert supply chain, using the predictable rhythms of retail and logistics to mask its activities. The discovery exposed a critical vulnerability in America's economic infrastructure, where criminal networks exploit legitimate businesses to sustain illegal labor markets. By mapping this web, agents uncovered a structure mirrored military infiltration tactics, blending seamlessly into civilian spaces. The raid's findings highlight a broader battle against organized crime that threatens national security and economic stability. The hub, located in a nondescript strip mall near Riverside, served as the nerve center for this operation. It was not a warehouse but a coordination point where couriers swapped packets of forged IDs, updated worker rosters, and assigned shifts to keep distribution centers staffed. For example, agents found evidence of a single night's roster linking 60 workers to an Amazon facility in Ontario, California, with identical contact numbers traced to the hub. The setup relied on the anonymity of suburban retail zones, where vans parked among shoppers drew no attention. Internal ICE reports noted over 20 active sites tied to this network across California alone, with daily arrests averaging 41 in 2025, a figure reflecting the system's scale and the precision of targeted enforcement. This network thrived by exploiting the predictable schedules of modern logistics. Warehouses like Amazon and Target operate on tight timelines, with shift changes and delivery windows that create gaps for inserting undocumented workers. The hub capitalized on these patterns, routing people and papers to wherever labor was needed most. For instance, a Target distribution center in Arizona reported a sudden influx of workers with near-identical Social Security numbers, later traced to the same broker managing Costco's supply. This coordination resembled a military logistics operation, where resources are moved swiftly to fill gaps in the line. Still, it served to embed illegal labor into legitimate supply chains without raising alarms. Investigators pieced together the network's reach through physical evidence and worker testimonies. Seized phones revealed text chains with coded instructions for pickups and drop-offs, often timed to coincide with early morning deliveries. One message thread, found on a supervisor's device, listed addresses for supermarkets in Phoenix and Tucson, each linked to a specific contact at the hub. These connections showed a system designed to scale, with the hub acting as a command post that could redirect workers across state lines. The operation's efficiency suggested a level of discipline akin to a military unit, where every move was calculated to avoid detection while maximizing output. The strategic implications of this network are stark. In geopolitical terms, it represents a form of economic infiltration, where criminal groups use civilian infrastructure to undermine border security. These networks bypass traditional checkpoints by embedding themselves in retail and logistics, much like insurgents blending into urban populations. The hub's proximity, just 15 miles from Costco, allowed it to operate under the radar, using strip malls and service roads as cover. This tactic mirrors how military forces use civilian terrain to stage operations, exploiting the trust in everyday systems to conceal their presence. The network's ability to supply forged IDs across multiple states suggests a threat beyond labor violations, potentially enabling deeper breaches like smuggling or espionage. Physical evidence from the raid reinforced the network's scope. Agents recovered delivery logs showing vans moving between the hub and warehouses, with routes carefully planned to avoid major highways under surveillance. Fuel receipts and burner phone purchases pointed to 2 addresses in Riverside County, where quiet exchanges happened before dawn. Neighbors reported seeing unmarked vehicles come and go, a pattern that seemed routine until layered with ICE's data. This layering revealed a cycle of activity that synced with warehouse shift changes, allowing the network to move workers and documents with clockwork precision. As ICE's targeted strike showed, the system's reliance on logistics schedules made it invisible and vulnerable. The raid's success drew parallels to similar operations elsewhere. A 2025 Nashville Costco raid, using the same tactics of silent cordons and rapid worker sorting, uncovered a comparable network supplying fake IDs to retail and construction sites. The playbook's consistency across regions highlights a systemic weakness in logistics-driven industries, where tight schedules create demand for cheap, unquestioned labor. ICE's ability to disrupt these networks depends on exploiting the same predictability that criminals use, turning routine patterns into attack points. This approach, rooted in military-style analysis, treats labor fraud as a strategic threat, requiring coordinated intelligence to dismantle. Workers caught in the raid provided critical insights into the network's operations. Many described being shuttled between sites by handlers who coordinated through the hub, often unaware of their final destination until they arrived. One worker recounted being sent from a California supermarket to an Arizona warehouse within days, with new papers provided at each stop. These accounts, backed by ICE's seizure of rosters and payment records, showed a system that treated workers as interchangeable assets, moved like supplies to meet demand. The hub's role as a central dispatcher ensured that no single site held the whole picture, reducing the risk of exposure if one location was compromised. The network's reliance on retail and logistics infrastructure made it resilient and fragile. By operating in plain sight, it avoided the scrutiny of border patrols or urban police sweeps. Yet its dependence on predictable schedules, shift changes at 6 a.m., delivery trucks at fixed bays, gave ICE a window to strike. The raid's timing, just as workers clocked in, maximized disruption while minimizing resistance. This precision reflects a shift in enforcement strategy, where data-driven operations replace broad sweeps. ICE's use of real-time intelligence, from phone intercepts to traffic pattern analysis, mirrors military tactics for targeting insurgent networks, adapted here to an economic battlefield. The human cost of this system was evident in the workers' stories. Many were drawn into the network by necessity, seeking jobs to survive, only to find themselves trapped in a cycle of dependency. The hub's coordinators exploited this vulnerability, supplying documents that tied workers to specific employers while keeping them under constant threat of exposure. This control mechanism, enforced through fear rather than force, ensured compliance across multiple sites. The raid's disruption of this hub sent ripples through the network, with reports of slowed hiring at linked warehouses as employers tightened screenings. The broader impact on national security cannot be overstated. A network capable of moving workers and fake IDs across states creates vulnerabilities that extend beyond labor markets. Forged documents could facilitate access to sensitive infrastructure or enable criminal elements to operate undetected. In military terms, this is a breach in the nation's economic defenses, where the enemy hides within the supply chain. The raid's success in mapping this network offers a blueprint for future operations, but it also underscores the challenge of securing a system as vast and interconnected as American retail. As agents cataloged evidence from the hub, they realized its connections reached deeper than expected, linking to financial flows that sustained the entire operation. The money trail, winding through cash payments and wire transfers, revealed a sophisticated system that profited from exploitation. To To fully unravel this network, investigators would need to follow these financial threads, tracing them from the hub to their origins in distant states where the true architects of this shadow economy operated. The Costco raid is a decisive blow against illegal networks, exposing a web of fraud and exploitation woven into America's economic fabric. Yet, it marks only the beginning of a broader fight. With rising budgets and tools like drones, ICE is set to target hubs in Texas and Arizona, potentially doubling California's daily arrests to 80 by year-end. This strengthens national security against covert threats, but strains sanctuary states and risks labor shortages in key sectors. For those tracking military strategy, this mirrors disrupting an enemy's supply line. The next battle lies in breaking the cycle of human exploitation driving these schemes. And that's what Navy Secrets wanted to share today, bringing you the most honest and up-to-date insights backed by in-depth analysis from top military strategists and political experts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support drives us to keep creating more high-quality and in-depth content. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and stay tuned for our next video. See you soon.